once the model is set, you can clearly see that there are three types of agents in the model. The, the human figure represents the consumer agents, while the chess knight represents the fashion agents. The factory represents the textile agents. The sliders on the left hand of the screen allows the user to change the number of agents of each type in the system, and the sliders on the right hand side allows the user to change the behavior of each of the agents depending on the integration of Industry 4.0 integration in their supply chain collaboration in identified collaborative characteristics. Each agent type has a separate set of sliders so that they can change each of the levels of integration of each characteristics on the system. Depending on the user inputs and the outcomes of qualitative and quantitative data surveys in the sustainability is measured in the simulation with time. The agents that accumulate an acceptable sustainable rating will turn into a shade of green. The darker the shade of the agent is, the higher the sustainable rating of the agents. The rating monitors on the right hand side shows the current rating of each of the agent types that are being selected, while the agent performance shows how much the sustainability performance of each of the agents with time. The sustainability monitor on the right hand side shows the plots out the range of the number of sustainable agents in the system with time. In the first scenario, we will be looking at the behavior of agents with low levels of Industry 4.0 integration in their collaborative supply chains. So we can clearly see that each of the agents have been assigned low ratings in their collaborative frameworks. So now we will run the system and look at the outcomes. We can clearly see that the agent performance is at a very low level, while the sustainability rating is also very slow. The sustainability conversion is becoming very slow. We can see that even the shades of green are very limited in the interface. The second scenario that we are looking at focuses on middle level of integration in Industry 4.0 applications in the collaborative supply chains. Each of the agents have been assigned mid-level values, and now we will set it up again and we will run the simulation. We can clearly see that the agents start to turn into shades of green, and depending on the shade, the level of sustainability also depends. We can see a much higher rating for agent performances into sustainability, and also the sustainability conversion rate is very high, hitting almost 100%. The third scenario we will consider when all three agents have high levels of integration with Industry 4.0 in their collaborative supply chains. So we have assigned high values for each agent and each characteristics, as you can clearly see. Now we will set it up again and we will run the simulation. We can see very dark shades of green coming up in the simulation and extremely high ratings in the agent performances. We can also see that the sustainability conversion rate is also extremely high, and it only takes very little time. We can see through the simulation that when the ratings are very high, the conversion rate and the performances are very high, and the sustainability rating, we can see through the shades of green, is also much darker than the previous instances. For the remaining scenarios, we will consider the performance of each of the agents and in the system in terms of sustainable Industry 4.0 implementation through analysis of each of the collaborative dimensions shown in the model. We will see how each dimension figured by the two characteristics will affect the overall performance of the system. For the fourth scenario, we have we are going to analyze the effect of communication in the model, and we have increased the information sharing and sense making characteristics of each of the agents into high level while the remaining characteristics are at a low level. So we will set it up again and we'll run the system, and we can clearly see that the system, the levels of integration and sustainability are high in the system. We can see the shades changing, and we can also see that the agent's performances and the sustainability conversion ratings are high, which clearly shows that communication is very important in sustainable collaboration. For our next scenario, we will analyze the behavior of our agents when we include the coordination characteristics of the system, resource pooling, and goal congruency. We have put high ratings for both these characteristics in all of the agents, while the remaining characteristics remain at a very low rating. So we will set it up again and we will run the simulation, and we can clearly see that the sustainable conversions take place despite with these two coordination with these characteristics in play. The counts and average business performances are high. The sustainable conversions also happen. However, the rate seems to be much lower than the previous one where we saw communication. For our final scenario, we will consider the cooperation characteristics of each of the agents, empowerment and cross-functionality activities. So each of the agents, these two characteristics have been set into high while the remaining characteristics have been set to low. We will set this model and we will run the simulation. We can see that the sustainable transformations adaptations still take place, and the agent's performances are also taking place, while the sustainable conversion rating is also very high.